Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today I'm taking a closer look at and showing you how to install the AMP Research Power Steps, available for all 2019 and newer Ram 2500s, equipped with the 6.4 liter V8. Now the AMP Research Steps that we have here today will be a great option for the HD owners out there who want to go with a premium side step option that will offer the main feature or functionality of automatically deploying whenever the door is opened, and then of course retracting when the door is closed, making for a much cleaner look while also increasing your ground clearance. Now, the made in the USA AMP setup here will support upwards of 600 pounds per side and is backed by a pretty stout warranty, all for the $1,800 to $1,900 price point. So getting into our long list of features here with the Power Steps from AMP, and again, I think the biggest is the fact that they are an automatic deploying step when the door opens and then automatically retract whenever the door closes. Not only does that drop the step automatically, but it's also going to drop it much lower than a traditional running board or even a set of drop steps. So this is just going to make getting into and out of your stock or lifted HD a much easier task. Now, second big feature here is the fact that these boards, when not in use, will tuck nicely against that lower rocker area of the cab, and I think it gives the truck a much cleaner appearance overall, almost as if there's no step installed whatsoever. All right, a couple more cool things while we're still in our features here, guys. First of which is the fact that the AMP steps implement what they call their anti-pinch technology. Basically, it's going to stop the steps from closing if they detect some pressure here. Definitely a nice peace of mind for you and your family if you have little ones running around here and you're going to use these boards on your HD. Now, the steps do include 4 high-powered LED lights that install underneath the cab of your truck to illuminate not only the step itself, but also the ground, almost serving as a puddle light for your truck. Now, your final feature here would be the fact that these power steps have been the industry standard, at least in the land of power boards, for as long as I can remember. In fact, a lot of OEs utilize AMP for their needs, and that is going to be reflected by the really favorable reviews back on the product page. Definitely check some of those out if you haven't done so already. Now, moving into construction here, guys, and you'll find that the steps themselves, which we actually have on the table with us here today, don't have all the other components, just takes up a whole lot of room. But the steps themselves are going to be made from a durable and lightweight anodized aluminum. Personally, I like the black because, again, it helps them sort of disappear under the cab of the truck when they're retracted. But if you did want to jazz things up a little bit, maybe you have a chrome package truck, AMP Research does sell a stainless steel trim kit that might give these things a little bit more pop and, again, flow with your chrome package truck. Now, the steps themselves are going to be 6 inches wide, as you can see right here, so plenty of footing for you and your family, and again, can support up to 600 pounds per side, which is up there with some of the highest capacities in the category. Now, sticking with construction just a little bit longer here, guys, moving parts, AMP is going to utilize some very high quality stuff here as well to ensure these boards operate as intended for many years to come. Now, this does include things like stainless steel hinge points, maintenance-free self-lubricating bushings, and again, AMP does also utilize waterproof OEM quality electric motors and drive system. Now, the boards have been built here in the USA and do carry a 5-year or 60,000 mile warranty in case you ever encounter any issues. All right, moving into our pricing block here quickly, guys, and the AMP Research Power Steps are going to land around $1,800 to $1,900 overall, which might seem pricey for a traditional side step, a fixed side step, for instance, but really not so much in the land of powered steps. In fact, I would say most of your powered options, at least here on the site, will kind of live between that $1,500 to $2,000 range. So you do have a few different options. As always, feel free to check out the rest of our selection here at AT before making your final decision. All right, last but not least, let's switch gears and get into the installation. And as far as side steps go, yes, the AMP options will be a little bit more involved, obviously because there is more wiring and things like that to tackle. But if you utilize their OBD2 plug-and-play system, it certainly is going to make things a bit easier for you. Nevertheless, the site's going to call this a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, maybe 3 hours or so to complete from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need a drill, an impact, various ratchets, an extension, T25 and T27 Torx bits, 3/16 Allen bit, 10 and 13 millimeter sockets, 13 and 15 millimeter wrenches, the provided anvil tool, wire strippers and crimpers, the provided butt connectors, a box cutter or razor knife, a flathead screwdriver, various size drill bits, a marker, a tape measure. Also not shown here is a rivet tool, and for the way we did it, tape and spade connectors. What's up guys, today we're gonna be doing some power side steps on our Ram, so let's get started. All right guys, so we're gonna start off in our engine bay and work our way down to the underside of the vehicle. Seems to be the best way to approach this. What we're gonna do first is grab our harness, and we need to route a couple things in a couple different places. So we need to route our main harness connectors and wiring down through by our wheel wells underneath the vehicle to attach to our power running boards. So we need to do that for the driver and passenger side. And then once we get those routed, we'll come to our battery, hook up those connections as well as our body ground connection. Then we also need to send some wiring through the firewall, and we'll show you how to do that once we get there. If you come to your main harness, you're gonna have some legs for the driver and passenger side. Now the shorter leg is gonna be for your driver's side, obviously, because we're gonna be working from over here. So we'll get that pulled up. You can kind of just set your harness in the engine bay for now. And you'll have your main connector that's gonna be for your driver motor as well as the LED lights. We're gonna send that right beside our battery, straight down. Now, if you're looking at the angle you're looking at, it's pretty hard to see, but once you come in here and look straight down, you will be able to see the area I'm speaking of. You can see light, you can see the floor, and that's what we're gonna aim for. We're gonna send that down that way. Take your time with this. Kind of fish your connector through. Just don't want it to get caught up on anything along the way. There's a lot of stuff in this engine bay. And this is more of an exercise of patience than anything else. So once it starts to go through, and this might take a couple tries. And once you get that down through, you just keep feeding it. Get as much as you can down underneath the vehicle at first. Then once you have the driver's side leg of your harness down and through and underneath the vehicle, you can do the same thing on the passenger side, and we'll come back and secure that once everything's buttoned up. So once you have both legs of your harness pass through underneath the vehicle, the next thing we're gonna do is connect our power and ground cables. To do that, we first wanna come to the positive cable. This is a fuse circuit. We're gonna remove this fuse before we do anything. It's gonna keep this circuit dead while we work on it, prevent any issues that nobody wants. These are pretty stiff, so wiggle that out there, and we'll just set this fuse up here for now. Then we're first gonna connect our positive wire to our positive terminal on our battery. The negative is gonna go to this body ground back here. So we'll grab our 10 millimeter socket on our ratchet. We're gonna hook it up to our pinch nut on our terminal. Get this all the way out. Once we have that out, set our positive wire onto that stud and simply reinstall 10 millimeter nut. We'll tighten that right back down with our 10 mil socket. Make sure this is nice and tight because this nut also secures your positive terminal to the battery post. Next, we're gonna hook up our negative cable to this body ground over here on the side of our engine bay. Once again, it's a 10 mil socket. We're gonna remove this nut. Have that nut off. Grab our negative wire. Bring that over and install that onto our body ground. Reinstall our nut. Tighten that right back down. Our 10 mil socket. Make sure that's nice and tight. So now that we have our cables hooked up, the next thing we're gonna need to do is pass our 2 connector wires into our cab from our engine bay. Now there is a very large grommet right behind this smaller fuse block behind the battery. We're gonna need to unbolt this fuse block to kind of drop it out of place to gain access to that grommet. Now you can either move the grommet a little bit and create a space like we're gonna do, or you can cut a small slit in the grommet and then tape it up afterwards. The choice is yours, they're both very effective. So we're gonna grab the purple and the purple with black stripe wire. We're gonna tape the ends together to make it a little bit easier to pass through, and then we'll get that through and move on into the cab. So this small fuse block behind the battery is held in with 2 10mm bolts. So we've got a 10mm socket and an extension. Our impact, we're gonna pop these out. Now you wanna be very careful not to drop these into the engine bay. We'll get that one loose. Carefully pull those bolts out. Sometimes they like to get a little stuck in there. Do. Pull your fuse block up. Have it seat. Have that up and out. There's your other bolt. We're just gonna put this down behind it, behind the mount rather. That is gonna give us just enough access to get to the top of this grommet, which is located right behind my hand, so it's straight back behind that fuse block. Pretty easy to see once you're in there. Now we ended up actually cutting a hole into our grommet. It's much easier than trying to push it aside on this vehicle. So you will need a razor knife or a very sharp knife, something of that sort. Now one thing to keep in mind, this is double layered and you do have modules and wires on the other side of this, so you be very careful when going through the second layer of your grommet. So you want to make a nice enough slit to where we can get our wires through. So now that we've got that cut, and you can kind of clear it out if you have a flathead screwdriver once you get it through. Just kind of work that through and really open up that hole. So we've got our 2 signal wires taped together. We're gonna get those through the hole in our grommet. Feed those through. Try to keep them as straight as possible going into that second layer. And once we have those fed through both sides, we can go into the cab and pull it all the way through. Now once we have our signal wires pushed all the way through into our cab, we'll set our fuse block back in place. Reinstall those 10mm bolts. Sometimes it is easier to use the socket and extension. Get these started. Get that first one going. Second one in place. Once they're in, we have our impact. Take these back in. Next, while we're up here, we're gonna plug our ECU in. Again, we're not securing anything down just yet. We wanna make sure everything is routed with enough room for us to install everything. So we've got a larger and a smaller plug. Plug both of those in. Make sure they lock into place. We'll get our smaller plug in place as well. We'll just set this over here for now. Again, we will come back and secure all this. All right guys, so now that we've got everything passed through into our cab, here we are. We're gonna need to come to the back side of our lower dash panel. Now, most of this is gonna be very difficult to see or impossible to see unless you're under the dash looking at it, so we'll do our best to explain it. You're gonna have your OBD2 connector that's gonna connect to those 2 purple wires that we already passed through, as well as a plug that's gonna go into a 2-pin port It's going to be up behind this section of your dash, right around the area of your light controls. Now again, even with removing some paneling, you're not going to be able to see it unless you're under there, but what you're going to be looking for is a green block of connectors. It's going to have 2 rows. There's one with a single row, not that one, the one with 2 rows. And any open slot, you can plug this 2-pin connector into off of your OBD2 port. We're also going to connect our 2 purple wires here. Now your kit does come with some butt connectors to connect these. However, for demonstration purposes, since this is going to be permanent, we're going to do ours with spade connectors. Makes it a little bit easier to unplug things. Honestly, it's a little bit more modular. So if you have that in mind, this might be the route to go. So what we'll do first is get our connectors onto here. So we've got our male spade connectors. These wires do come pre-stripped. So we're going to set that wire in there. Now if you are doing the butt connectors, this process is essentially the same. Once we have our wire in, make sure that seats all the way. We'll grab our wire crimpers. Crimp these down nicely. Give them a little tug after you crimp them just to make sure your connection is secure. All right, now that we've got those 2 in place, we need to do the same thing with the female sides on our 2 wires that we pass through the dash. You'll notice we have them untaped. Now, if you need a reference on where your wires are going to come through the dash, they're going to be up behind the parking brake pedal, directly through from the firewall. You'll be able to see the grommet. Now, again, there is a lot of wiring and modules under here, so it's pretty hard to see unless you're straight onto it. But you will see the purple poking through, and then you can just grab them and pull them as far as you need. So we'll get our female ends on here and start connecting everything. Now we'll get our female spade connectors on. Same process as the males. Also, again, if you're doing butt connectors, you're going to want to crimp them on together the same exact way. And you want to give your wire ends a good little twist just to make sure you don't have any stragglers. Keeps everything nice and easy to get into whatever connector you're using. Now that we have those on, we're going to match our wires from our OBD2 side connector to our main harness side. So black and purple stripe. Plug that one in. And purple to purple. Okay, now that we have those in, we'll get our 2-pin connector and our OBD2 port plug connected. So first we'll plug into our OBD2 port. That's going to be right here on the lower left-hand side of your dash. So you want to plug that in. Then we're going to take this plug and plug it into that green block I mentioned. Now, again, you're not going to be able to see this at all, and I'm going to need some light in here. So we'll get in there and get that plugged in. Again, it's back up in this area of your dash. It's very difficult to see unless you're looking right at it with a light. So we'll get that plugged in, and then we'll get everything tucked out of the way and out of the way of our pedals. Alrighty guys, now that we have all of our wiring done, we can get underneath the truck and start installing our brackets and our boards and get everything hooked up. Now the first thing we're going to need to do is get under there and install some reinforcement brackets as well as our rib nuts. So we're going to do it a little bit differently for demonstration purposes, but we'll also explain to you how it should be done doing it at home for a permanent install. So let's get under there and get going.
All right, so now we're underneath the truck, essentially on the back side of our rocker panels, and you're gonna find at the front and rear these mounting locations, you're gonna have some hex holes, and up here you'll have some larger circular holes along with one large oval hole. And what you wanna do at home is you wanna grab your reinforcement bracket. This does have a hook locator at the top. The first thing you're gonna do is have it on the outside lined up with these holes. You're gonna grab the designated drill bit and drill a hole for a rivet through the body itself. Once you have that hole drilled, you want to hook some string or some thin wire or something onto your reinforcement bracket and feed that into the backside and line that up. and then install your rivet. Now, for demonstration purposes, we are not going to do this because this is not a permanent install. So we're gonna hook ours around the front. Now we're still gonna install our riv nuts. It'll be just fine, but definitely do it from the backside at home if you want it to be a permanent install. So we have our supplied riv nut tool. That is a anvil nut, a washer, and our supplied bolt. So our bolt is going to feed through our washer and our anvil nut, and then we're going to grab our supplied riv nut. We're going to thread that in. When you're going to line this up, it does have a hex part. That'll locate that very nicely. Again, from the backside, this will have the same effect in principle. You want to grab a 15mm wrench, get that on your anvil nut. And to even help better with locating, install our other riv nut. It's going to hold that in place quite nicely. And then grab our wrench, 15mm for our anvil nut, a 13mm socket, ratchet for our bolt. Crank that down. It's going to compress this riv nut, hold it in place. Now you can do this with an impact, but it's much better to do it with a hand wrench so you can make sure the threads don't strip on you. And you want to do the same thing for the other one. Now once you have both of these in, you can repeat this same process for the other bracket. Next, we're going to install our front body mount. Now, this one is going to be the one with the singular threaded hole in the middle of it. The rear body mount for the motor mount is going to have 2 threaded holes. So we'll get this lined up like so. We'll grab our supplied 13mm washer bolts. Get those. We're just going to get them loosely in place for now. Now when doing this at home, you'll notice 2 smaller holes up top as well. Those are also going to get marked, drilled, and riveted with the designated drill bit, and you can install the rivets up there. But again, for demonstration purposes, this is not a permanent install. We won't be installing those rivets. So now that we have this loosely in place, we can come through our holes in our pinch weld and install those bolts as well. Next, we're going to loosely install our T27 Torx bolts with flat washers on them through our holes in our pinch weld to our mounting bracket. Get these in place. Next, we're going to come back and tighten down our Torx bolts with our T27 Torx bit and extension on our impact. Now, you don't need to go super tight with these, just nice and snug. You want to alternate your tightening. Pull your bracket flush with your pinch weld and your body line. Now we'll tighten down our 13mm bolts with our 13mm socket on our impact. And once you have this all done for this bracket, you can do the same thing on the other bracket. Now we're going to install our front idler bracket. So that is again the one with the 3 holes, and we are on the driver's side, so we want our board bracket to be facing towards the rear of the vehicle. You'll have this little jut out on your bracket. So we'll line this up. We'll use our supplied 13mm washer bolts to get these in place. We'll get our first one in up top. Then we have 2 down low that we'll get in. Do come powder coated, so the threads might feel a little bit stiff at first. Now once we have these in place, we'll tighten them down with our 13mm socket on our impact. Now that this bracket's in place, we'll move to the rear and install our motor drive bracket. Now we've come to our rear mounting bracket, and we've got our motor drive linkage ready to go. Now, this one has a mount that is directly in front of the motor drive itself. So what you're going to need to do is grab one of your supplied 13mm bolts. We'll get that in position. We're going to run that in quite a ways. You kind of have your bracket set up here to see how far in you have to go, because the head of this bolt has to clear the motor bracket in order for it to go in. Once that's far enough in place, I'm going to get that onto that one. These outer mounts are slotted, makes it much easier. Then we can install the other 3 bolts. Remember, this has 2 up top. So kind of hard to see. Just gonna have to use your feel. It will droop down because we don't have the motor attached to it just yet. Now for these 3 bolts that are in the open, you can use our 13mm socket on our impact to tighten down. And for this one, unfortunately, you're just going to have to use an open-end wrench. Even still, it's going to be a little bit tough to get in on this.
So now before we install our motor, we're going to extend our brackets down fully and install our boards. That way it's in the fully extended position, and the motor and the ECU for this setup is going to know where it's at to start. So we'll grab these, bring them to their folded out position. Now we've got our board. That's going to mount with these double bolt plates, or double nut plates rather. They do slide in this channel, so they can be adjusted. And to get those in place, we're going to seat them onto our brackets and use 2 of our 3/16 Allen head bolts for each of our brackets. So we'll flip this over and get it on, get our hardware in.
All right, so now we've got our board lined up. We do have one of our Allen head bolts loosely in place, just for safety. We've got our other one in. Those are going to come directly into the bottom, down up with that nut plate. Then once you get these loosely in place, you want to make any adjustments to get your board sitting where you want it. And then once you have everything adjusted, you grab your 3/16 Allen socket and tighten these down. And once you have this one in, you can do the same thing for the rear bracket. All right, so now we're back under to the rear motor drive bracket, and we've got our motor itself. Now this is gonna line up like so. We have our gear drive on the back side. We wanna send that through this opening. Have everything kind of lined up. What you're gonna do, just move your board and the motor around until everything lines up and jives. Sooner. Should be sitting like so. Once you have that in place, grab your 3 T25 Torx screws. Get those started. So we have those in. Grab our T25 Torx bit on our ratchet, start tightening these down. You don't want to fully tighten the first one until you get all 3 of them snug. Now once you've got your motor installed, you want to grab your harness that we sent under the vehicle earlier. You're going to get that plugged in to our motor.
You want that to snap in place, and then you want to lock this tab in. That'll secure everything. Then before we secure our harness up out of the way, we're going to install our LED lights. We'll show you how to do that. Now it's time to install our LED accent lights for our running boards. So you're going to grab your harness and you're going to find 2 sets of these red and black wires, one at the front mount, one at the rear. What we're going to do is add in our butt connectors to this side first. Now doing this at home, and we'll show you where you should drill, you're going to need to drill through your pinch welds to have that more flush fit. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to be drilling through our pinch welds, but we're going to install these so you can see just the same functionality. So we're going to grab our wire strippers and crimpers, strip back some of our sheathing first, give them a little twirl. This takes care of any straggling strands of wire. We're going to grab our provided butt connectors, slide that in, then we'll crimp those in place. Then once you have this one up to this point, you want to do the same thing for your rear harness connectors. So the measurements for your light placement are going to be 22 inches from the front of the pinch weld for the forward LED light and 64 3/4 for the rear. So you're going to grab a tape measure, go to the front of your pinch weld. You want to mark out at 22 with a marker and then 64 3/4 as well. Now once you have those points marked out, you're going to want to drill a 9/32 hole through each one of those marks. Then you're going to grab your LED lights and send those through those holes, and then we'll be able to connect on the other side. Again, we're not drilling any holes in our pinch welds, but the connection is going to be the same. Once you have those through, you're going to match up your red and black wires. Take your wire strippers and crimpers, put those in position. We'll go red to red and black to black. Now again, doing this at home, you want to make sure you crimp these on after you've passed your LED light through your pinch weld. And these have an adhesive backing, so we'll expose that now. And we're going to line ours up right at our mark, which should be where your hole is drilled. That's going to go on the underside of your rocker, just like so, and your wire should be straight through your pinch weld. Then after you have this one done, you want to do the same thing for your rear light. So now once you have everything in place, you can get under there and secure your harness up out of the way. Now this part you can kind of make your own. You can tuck it into wherever you'd like. Just make sure it is not hanging at the lowest point of your frame or anything like that, as well as out of the way of any hot or moving parts so you don't damage your harness or the vehicle in the process. Now once you've got everything hooked up and secure underneath the vehicle, we can come back to our engine bay and do our final touch-up of all of our stuff up here. Now you will need to secure your ECU up and out of the way. Again, you can make this your own. You can tuck your harness however you'd like it. But just for simple demonstration purposes, we're going to run a zip tie through this bracket. We'll get that connected loosely. We'll bring that down. That's going to allow us to slide our ECU into that. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes. And we'll tighten down our zip tie. You can add more if you'd like, but that's going to secure your ECU up and out of the way. Once your ECU is secure, you want to trim off any zip ties that you do use. Then you'll also want to secure the rest of your harness passing over to the passenger side of your vehicle through your engine bay as well. Just keep it out of the way of the engine or any spinning or hot parts. And again, feel free to make it your own. Tuck it back in there and do as you please with it. And once you have everything connected and secured, you can reinstall the fuse. Make sure that goes all the way in. Then you want to cover that back up. And once you've got this process complete for this side, you can repeat these same steps for the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Amp Research Power Step plug and play running boards for your 19 to current 6.4 liter Ram 2500. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.